Hey, I'm Steve Voss. I'm from Hamilton. I currently am vocalist and guitarist in Adelleda. I also play in the Youth on Drugs and Yakutia. My main influences growing up would definitely be my best friend Oliver Liddycoat. He is just a really close buddy that got me into starting to play music, getting into tunes. Especially his dad would travel to the States a lot when we were kids, and we'd give him a list of CDs that we wanted to get, and he would bring them back for us. And hearing those records at a really early age really evolved us, and luckily we're still hanging out to this day making music together. One of my main musical influences was when I was in grade 8. I had a teacher, Mr. Ellis, who let me borrow a not burned, a taped cassette. And on one side, I don't remember what was on the other side, but on the one side was Sepultura's Beneath the Remains. And I was 13 years old, and I put that record on, and it scared me, and it was the heaviest, most intense thing I've ever heard. And ever since then, I can't go back and listen to anything else than extreme music. What got me into punk music, I had a cousin growing up who his next door neighbor had a lot of the VHS tapes of motorbike and skate videos. So a lot of that, I just got into a lot of the Epitaph and Fat Records bands. Heard a lot of that and the Warped Tour comps and all that. For hardcore, kind of the same. A lot of the early 2000s hardcore bands were blowing up, and a lot of guys in my high school got me into bands like Lions and the Battle Cat from Hamilton. Luckily, we get to work a lot with Jesse from the Battle Cat, so that's always pretty wild to me. And for metal, again, it was Sepultura hearing that cassette tape when I was in grade 8. Got me right into metal. And I'll never forget that cassette tape. Still have it. The first show that I ever saw that I really remember as being awesome as a kid, I saw the Randy Bachman and Burton Cummings songbook tour. I think I was in grade 8. I went with my mom. It was really neat because they did, Randy Bachman came out first, did his solo stuff, some BTO, and then Burton Cummings played his set, did his solo stuff, and then they did a third set doing all Guess Who greatest hits. I wasn't really expecting anything, and it turned out to be really cool. And from then, I've been a big Guess Who fan. The first punk show that I remember going to was kind of by accident. I went to go see Finger 11 at the Sound of Music Festival in Burlington, and a band called The Video Dead opened. And I tell Ben this story all the time, usually after a few drinks, about how that show in particular changed my life. Because I don't really remember the Finger 11 set, but I remember the Video Dead set. And Video Dead came on first, and they blew my mind. I've never seen a real like punk kind of hardcore band ever, and it was the greatest thing I ever heard. And I bought whatever I could from them that day. And the Video Dead was amazing, and thankfully Adelleda got to play their farewell show a few years back now at Burley Collin. That was a game changer show for me. Some of my favorite shows, probably the first one that ever comes to my memory, I think it was in 2011 or 2012. It was the last sellout show. It was Belvedere, Grade, Monine, and the Full Blast. All bands that I really, really love, especially the Full Blast, Belvedere, and Grade. Monine, I dig, not as much as the other bands, but that show was just incredible. Another favorite of mine was in Florida, maybe about a decade ago. I saw Strike Anywhere back to back, 2 nights at the Fest in Florida. It was amazing. I love that band. I don't get to see them very frequently, so the fact that I saw them 2 nights in a row was just mind blowing. So probably the craziest thing that ever happened to me at a show, we went to go see Lagwagon at Pouzza Fest in Montreal, and they oversold the venue. Even though we had the wristbands that said we could go to the show, they weren't letting in half the people that were waiting in line. It was pretty crap. So a couple of us got in, and a couple of us didn't get in. So we got into the venue and we tried to map out the place, try to figure out where the fire exits were and all that. Luckily, the one guy we were with was a firefighter, so he was kind of smart with these things. And so we managed to cover a couple of the fire exits. A couple of us were kind of keeping guard, and we were able to sneak in a bunch of our friends so that we all could see the show and see Lagwagon all together. And it was amazing. Probably because we were naughty. All right, a list of past and current bands. I've been in a lot of bands, so if I hurt anybody's feelings, if I forgot the band we played in together, there is a lot of them, so bear with me. The first band that I was in that kind of did anything significant was Twilight Child. It was my high school melodic death metal band. From that, my next big one was Adelleda, which was a whole 13 years ago, or 12 years ago at this point. And then from then, I've been in a ton of bands. Beer Stain Handshake, Underwater Bingo for Teens, Yakutia. I was in Youth on Drugs. I was in a band called The World That Summer, which was a bit more of a post-metal kind of thing. I think that's about all the bands that have done something of significance. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. What I like most about being a musician is probably the connection, especially on stage. When you're playing and you get some people really, really into it, and that just that personal connection, emotional connection between the music and the audience. I've always loved that aspect, especially with the punk and hardcore. I think it's the most fun. What I dislike the most would probably be either the late nights. I like to do. I like to go to the gym quite early in the morning, so late nights are always pretty rough for me. Um, that's and traveling. I really don't like to travel. I like to stay at home when I can. So traveling is not so fun for me. So touring has always been a drag for me. The shows are always fun, but the touring is always not fun. My favorite food, I have two. If I have to pick one, it's going to be donuts. If I'm allowed to have two, it's going to be donuts and cheesecake. But if I have to pick one, it's absolutely donuts. My most useless talent. I asked my wife this question, and her response was that I can eat a lot of donuts at the same time, which is true. The most amount of donuts I think I've eaten in one go was about 14. Um My other most useless talent, I would say, is I can actually sing opera really, really well. Um, I don't particularly care for opera music, so I don't sing it. But apparently, I can do it really, really well. So maybe I should consider it.
Can you give us an example?
An example? No. No, not no. Can't do it.